We thought about paying some of these guys for being slower, but I ran out of cash money. Cameraman handles camera. That's why he's called cameraman. I'm wheelman, and you're talkman.
I'm talkman. I can talk.
Hey, welcome everyone to another video here on Overtake.gg. To ensure that we got all the latest news about sim racing, we're in Munich for you because there's the first ever Rennsport Summit.
You're absolutely right, Rene. 3 action-packed days in front of us. Friday, we had a first hands-on, first impressions on how we like the game. Saturday, there's an esports competition happening with all the esports pros competing. And on Sunday, we are talking to the devs behind the game and see how the game is already developing.
And even way more as content creators are here, esports pros, and seems like they've got quite a cool schedule for us, and we will try to answer all your questions about the new title. So let's get right into it. We're actually doing, I think, our first time trials. I have no clue, and as I said, I got Max Bennick in my group, so if I'm not last in the time trial from at least my group, I will be super happy already. All right, time for me to step up. Wait, this isn't Forza? Off we go. Hockenheim ring, so kinda, I would say, home court advantage. Obviously, with this being Unreal 5, it looks already very good. It has good traction in the rear. It's like you could feel that the engine, like weight shifting in general, already feels very nicely. And then early on throttle here. Not over that sausage curb, we tried the other sausage curb, and they really want to harm you. Oh, we're braking into the corner. Oh, so you can't really stay on the brakes. Get all the way to shift to the front, lighten up the rear, and then rotate it into the apex. That was quite cool. I want to do good, but fifth is not really what I was looking for. Once again, use the brake to rotate the rear. That is so much fun. Playing around with the weight of a car. Couldn't end that lap. Probably got a ton of grey hair just from driving. Well, let's see. I mean, at least not last in the group. All right, we thought, why should we only discuss between us how we like the game or what we're feeling about it without the camera, right? So I'm now here on top of the world, on top of the Rennsport Summit at least, with ChampionJoe, and yeah, let's bring up all the arguments we have. Like, where do we start? What's your first impression?
First impression of the game? I like it. I think that's my first impression.
Took him 10 seconds to come up with that one.
Yeah, I think the base is there to be a really, really good sim racing game in the end. You touch it, you feel it, it's sim racing. Not simcade, not arcade, it's sim racing.
So the natural feel of driving.
The natural feel is there. It's fun. And that's the most important point, I think.
So then I'll go with my first impression. So I tried the BMW as first car, and it felt way too slidey to me. So Sedokis says it's a bit of torque oversteer, and I always felt like it was more the weight, not the torque, braking traction. But I just couldn't get grips with the car. Changed to the Porsche. Really like that one. It's also what I mostly drive in ACC and stuff like that, so it kind of fits my driving style. I agree to the natural one. Still think that there's not enough grip. But it's hard because we can't change the TC settings. So I wonder if it's just that and I'm not used anymore to run such low settings.
It's really interesting because for me it was the other way around. I was just driving the BMW in this rig actually, and I like the BMW more.
Really?
Yeah, it was much more planted and for me much easier to drive.
Yeah, it was driving style maybe. It's like so far I would say it's positive. Obviously we have to mention that as well. The Summit is really cool, so it gives everything a positive vibe. Might be different in your rig at home, but I don't think that is currently leading on with, oh, that's Simcade, and we all hope for a Sim title. No, I think from talking to them and seeing what they did so far, they will really talk about another competitor up there with like AC, ACC, R Factor, iRacing, whatever it is on that line, AMS.
That's cool, yeah.
Which would be good to see. We want more competition and we definitely want more good sims.
And the focus on esports is really interesting to me, that they focus on events, on maybe having a really good online ranking system, not like other games.
Didn't talk about that so far. But
I think that's something they have in mind.
It's definitely in the app already, because I see that there's like ranking and stuff.
When I played there, I had the chance to go into the menu, and there was already a multiplayer.
It would be weird without multiplayer nowadays.
Multiplayer, and there was also career mode.
Oh, really?
I saw that, yeah. And the guy was talking to me and saying, maybe there's going to be a second track tomorrow.
Or a second.
He told me that.
I really thought we only have that one track. That would be
I think
interesting.
there's going to be a second track tomorrow, and maybe the 2 cars that are standing down there, maybe they are in the game as well.
No, he's going hard.
But we don't know. We don't know.
Everything.
It's all speculation. But there will be a second track. He told me. So.
Okay, that's cool. That means we should go back to the summit and just check it out.
Are you ready?
I won't get more ready than that. On one side, I'm really happy about being in a competition. On the other side, I know already next to all these guys, no chance. I just don't want to be last.
Did you try to learn how to start the car?
No.
You should have done that.
And I mean, I'm driving next to people that even have their own Schlafanzug with them. It'll be hard. I mean, look at me. Flat mode,
you
pro
don't have a
mode,
chance.
flat mode, pro mode. Like you can clearly see the difference. we thought about paying some of these guys for being slower, but I ran out of cash money.
Bribery. Live on tape.
10 euros is enough.
If you come in first, you will get the 20 euro from our cameraman.
First.
Yeah.
Very unlikely, guys. I mean, unless we make a Monza T1.
3, 2, 1, let's go.
Oh, good start from Rene. Oh. Being first. That's nice. Smooth operator. Good maneuver. Come on. P5, I think. Oh, Spinnerino. He's out.
Oh no! Penalty!
Bad rejoin!
That was tight.
P4 for Rene. Not bad, almost a podium. Final corners. I guess that's P4. Good job. And a 141.5 was your best lap, so best ever lap.
Basically, we've grabbed James West here, also known as GamerMuscle, because you actually brought English breakfast tea to the studio when you came around for Nitro Nights. And I said, I owe you something for that. So I think this interview kind of makes up for it, because you told me you really want to talk about fashion.
Yeah.
Because you're not happy with the outfit I have.
I'm disappointed, to be honest. In this studio, when I last saw you, you dressed identically to me, which was fantastic. Good coordination there. Today, we're going jogging.
Well, let's maybe talk about why we're actually here. It's the Rennsport Summit, right?
That might be better.
Besides fashion, because we're definitely not the best ones to talk about that. Let's talk about the actual game. You had a few laps so far already.
Yeah.
And we heard everything already, from it is like ACC to like AC Alpha to AMS2. The only thing I didn't hear, no one said yet that it is like Micro Pro Grand Prix. No one said that yet. But give us your first impression.
You were like instantly, you're like, oh, comparing it to other sims. So maybe, is that the question? Having only done a few laps, what would we compare it to?
No, you don't have to.
No, we're not allowed to. But that's what people want though, isn't it? Because people always want to contrast stuff with what's already out there. So I'm going to go there. I'm going to say at the moment, there's a little bit of R-Factor 2E to it kind of feel. A little bit, not necessarily the force feedback, a little bit of AMS2 feel to it, set of tyre model stuff going on there, a little bit of race roomy feel to it, I would say. So sort of a mix of some of the other sims. Definitely not an iRacing feel.
Yeah, because we didn't have to subscribe.
Yeah, we didn't have to subscribe, that's it, no. And definitely,
not yet.
It's just like there's a bit of stuff going on there that could be, it fits in nicely with the existing sims, I'd say. It's definitely a simulator that they're going for.
Maybe let's talk about something that we know already that the community wants to know, because we went out on social media, we asked people, right? And one of that was, is there anything in this game that is NFT? And we discussed that yesterday already, right? So just so that you guys are up to date, there was a keynote kind of, and they told us that digital ownership in the first place was about modding and making sure that people that mod would actually get something out of it. I like that. Great. I still think that's a huge undertaking because it's not easy in terms of licensing and making it legal.
Yeah.
But I like that they approach it. But there was a second part to that answer, right? And that was, if there is a car and you win a championship, then it's the unique car that has this win on it, and they said, oh, you can have that in your garage or sell, which Well, I would like if nowadays probably people wouldn't label that as NFT. If it is that, I don't know, because that's a technical question in the background, right? So do you think in general, let's leave the NFT thing out of the way, because if it's only that, then it wouldn't really bother me. If I don't have to engage with it, if I don't want to, then I don't see an issue, right? But do you see any like advantages with them trying to give us that ownership on either items or anything else within the game?
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? I think it's like that whole, it's the free-to-play microtransactions, some stuff like the Steam Workshop and things, and how you integrate it all. I think at the end of the day, like you can't really know. Ultimately, it's going to depend what they happen to do in the final build of the game, and there's ways that you can do marketplaces, microtransactions, NFTs, whatever you want to call it, and whatever the back end is for it. There's ways to do it that are obnoxious and ruin it and you can't avoid, and there's ways to do it where it works fine. So like Counter-Strike is a good example where you could play Counter-Strike, CSGO, you can completely ignore all the Steam Workshop stuff if you want to, but if you want to get into it, you can. Again, I could see that in some ways it could be a really good way to support esports in what we've seen with Dota.
A bit like stickers in Counter-Strike. Exactly. When you get like you win IEM and you get a sticker for a team and sell it. Yeah.
And I think that's where that's kind of come from with the whole ESL component of this as well, and that partnership. So I think it can be done in a good way, but it could also be terrible. But there's just no way can't really comment on it until you see the final build and what they actually do with it.
It was so much fun on the summit. We learned a lot of new stuff, like that VR support is in the works, the Porsche Mission R and Goodwood are in the game just like we speculated, and that the game will come to players worldwide at the end of 2023. But we still had to talk to the devs, which is why we grabbed Rene's old friend Adam, who oversees partnerships and operations at Rennsport.
Yeah, we're sitting here with Adam Goldberg, who oversees the partnerships and brand and basically everything around Rennsport.gg. And it's kind of funny, Adam, because we don't met for the first time here, right? We saw each other in 2017.
We did when we first met.
Yeah, you
in
were,
New York.
Yeah, you were doing stuff on Forza, like you worked for Turn 10. So is your role in Rennsport.gg now similar to what you did previously?
It definitely, there's definitely some overlap. We working in this very similar space with a lot of the same partners, getting at the same thing, and including the esport component. One of the burning questions, obviously, for our community and from myself, I have to say, is how did all of this come together, right? We rarely see newcomers into the sim racing market in terms of like developers and publishers. Can you give us an overview of how was Rennsport created? Yeah, sure. So actually, a good follow-on question to my time at Turn 10. On Forza, but Morris Hebecker, the CEO of Rennsport, used to work at Codemasters a long time ago when I worked at Activision. And at the time, Activision distributed Codemasters product in North America. So we would see each other occasionally. We became friends. And then a few years ago, we reconnected and talking about the racing space and video games and the amount of innovation that has gone into it, and sort of where it was headed. And he had a lot of experience in the racing space too, obviously at Codemasters on Dirt and DTM, other titles like that. And we thought that the time was now to innovate in the space, have a newcomer with a slightly different take. And so, we kicked off that idea just about, maybe nearly 4 years ago, three and a half to 4 years ago. Yeah. How do you see yourself then in terms of the markets? Like, would you consider Rennsport will be like a hardcore simulation like iRacing, ACC? Is that what you're aiming for? Absolutely. That's where we focus first. And for us, it's more of an engagement and partnership with the community. Okay. So even now, when we look at like what we're doing here, I can't think in my 30-year history of video gaming where we would have such an event where we invite people in so early. Where we would generally never have provided like a hands-on experience with a game like this. But here we completely wrapped things differently. Kept it really focused. And really inviting people in really early, and a pretty big group of the most scrutinizing, customer And
Sim races can be quite harsh.
you know, very harsh, right? So I think we're pretty harsh on ourselves, and I think you know, we're able to, you know, as a result, deliver something that actually on first touch seems to be, you know, like pretty positive initial response.
What are we looking at in terms of the type of content? Are we talking about a game that follows like GT3 series around the globe, similar to ACC, where it's like the Fanatec World Challenge that they follow content-wise? Or could we expect something like from a Caterham street car to an F2 Formula and some GT race cars? Like, what is it?
Yeah, I think it's obviously somewhere in between there. So being a small new company, we really have to pick and choose what we do first. And so like I was saying, the driving dynamics were, you know, specifically a key focus for the moment-to-moment authentic experience. You know, moving forward with content, you see, you get to taste a little bit of what the content is like now with Porsche and BMW. We have others in the funnel, and you know, as we move forward, we've also expanded the team and expanded the content production capacity at Competition Company. So we'll be, you know, the breadth of content will grow, and we're not specifically focused on a specific series, but you know, moving forward, we're gonna, you know, we'll grow the content in a way that makes sense for the experience and be able to support a competitive program, at least initial, you know, certainly initially, and then broaden from there.
Even 3 days of the summit have to come to an end, and they actually do now, and I hope that you got all the information that you wanted. Otherwise, let us know in the comments down below, and we'll try to gather everything, because there's much more footage than you saw. Poor Cutter's life, but we'll try to keep you up to date with everything on YouTube, on our social channels, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is. Make sure to follow us, subscribe, hit the bell, and then you will stay up to date with everything around the virtual racing world. I think, though, I will need some help to get Joe out of this.
No, I don't want to go. Please, can I keep the BMW? Please. Really?
Actually, yeah, I want to get better at it. I want to do more laps.
And there's a lot of room for improvement for you, because we saw that he was slower than ChampionJoe. So there is room to improve.
Hang on.
We saw that. It was on the list. I checked
Right,
it.
I'm not
We
doing
even took
this
a photo
interview
of that.
anymore.